Hi, Patrick here, and welcome to Instant Customer TV. Today, we're going to talk about coaching, but with a twist. Because with us, we have a special guest, life coach and business coach, Ron Helman, who's worked with celebrities like Al Pacino, Sting, Julianne Moore, etc. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, but beyond that, he's also a believer in bold action and has done a 27-day exploration with Neil Armstrong, the astronaut, so that's going to be really interesting. So it's going to be a fun conversation here. And so, Ron, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Patrick, and I'm really already enjoying your enthusiasm.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I think we're going to have a great time together. I thought maybe we could start with, I know you have a very interesting background, and I've interviewed many coaches. And with that interesting background that you have, it will be interesting also to see how that reflects in your coaching. So I thought maybe we could start with maybe if you want to share a little bit about your background before you became a coach.
Yes, I also agree with you. I think a coach's background or a person's background really reflects a lot on their work and how they approach their work. I was a Jersey Shore boy in New Jersey, here in the States. Made my way through high school and found my way into competitive gymnastics and music. Those were two passions that paralleled, and I moved my way into that through college and eventually moved to New York City, where I lived for 21 years, starting out in the East Village.
Okay, great. So what inspired you to become a coach? So with the background, I also read a little bit about that you were also working with music and productions. Is that correct?
Yes. I did spend, I think, 8 years in Manhattan with a company that I created called Miles High Management, primarily managing and coaching, eventually, some really top-notch musicians. The musicians today are all very successful, touring the world, playing with Peter Gabriel, and that was a really interesting stint of time. But I actually realized that really what that was about for me was that I actually wanted to be that musician. So I made some choices to leave that business and manage myself.
Okay, good. Great. So was it along the music lines that when you started with the music, what was it that inspired you to become a coach from all your diverse background?
Well, in reflection, I now have hindsight of various lives I've lived. I've always felt a passion to help others. I am aligned with the concept of being of service, but more importantly, I had skill sets and personality to be able to help an individual move along a career path, a life path, if I may, that would be fulfilling for them. And that experience became amazingly purposeful and fulfilling for me.
Okay, cool. So I'm just curious here as well. So has the experiences you had, the different lives that you've been living, has that impacted your coaching today? That you now, because I know that you're very successful, you're really helping people and having a really great results with your clients. So has that impacted how you coach and how you approach coaching?
I think so. When I was a manager, for example, in the music business, or working with the actors that you had mentioned and some of the rock stars, that path is a very challenging path. You're talking about a young artist who has aspirations to integrate into a very challenging business, a business that generally rejects you for most of your efforts, and to be able to capture a vision so that you can hold that vision regardless of what others say, that you're really listening to your own voice, your own passion, and your own ability to strategize on how you're going to get what you want. That's sort of where I come in. Part of it is first the analysis, whether we both feel that this individual is aligned to make that goal. That's a very important step, this initial step. And then do they have the drive that it's going to require to be able to move into these avenues that will be very difficult? There's going to be congestion, just like the traffic in New York City. and then eventually be able to start and find that first break, if I may, so that they are now fulfilling the dream that they're interested in pursuing. So I would say yes. In my world, I've said you're going to get a lot of rejection. So let's prepare that that's really not even about you. That's not necessarily about you at all. I told a film director who's very successful. I said to him, it's not about how many no's you get. Let's just build that in. That's simply how the pursuit of those things will go. All you need in any good lifetime is just a handful of very good yeses. Just a small amount of excellent yeses, and you will succeed.
I like that. The handful of excellent yeses. That's really, really interesting. So you mentioned that you've been working with the stars like Al Pacino and Sting, etc. So I'm sure that the people watching are a bit curious. How was it? And I'm not sure how much you can talk about it, but how was it working with celebrities like that and coach them?
Well, when I first started working in that world with rock stars and actors and different variations and themes on performers, particularly the ones that were already successful, I think one of the first things I learned, because this was a long time ago, I've been doing this a long time, is how we are all one. In other words, a rock star is fundamentally no different than myself. They still have the struggles, the challenges all around the human experience. So one of the things that happens immediately is that there's an even playing field. And not only for myself as a coach, but for any one of my clients. So that was one of the first things. And then watching someone truly be brilliant or iconic based on who they are and fundamentally what they do. But it really comes from the who. Who are they? I mean, Sting, for example, is a magnificent individual. He's delightful. He's very, very focused, very respectful. And those attributes have partly made him to who he is and the success he has. That would be a really good example. Julianne Moore, always generally in a great mood, giggly and fun and really wants to grow and really wants to move. And all of these artists don't want to stop. There's a certain point, and it's certainly not about the money. It's really about wanting to continue to grow as artists, because fundamentally, even as Sting told me, he says, I'm simply a musician. That's it. I'm a musician, and I want to continue to grow and excel in that arena.
Interesting. So even though they have this great success, they're still striving to want to become more and create more. And that's is that some of the attributes that you think for any successful person, or if you want to achieve success in any area, is that some of the fundamental principles, do you think? Or
well, it is, but there's some foundational principles that need to be addressed immediately, and they run deep within every individual. There's a person that can have a good attitude, for example, but may not actually believe they can achieve the goal that they have set out. So there's some clearing and clarity that needs to be done in the front end. In other words, if you're going to take a vacation, and it was going to be one of your great vacations, there would be a tremendous amount of work in deciding where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, what you're going to pack, and are you ready? Is it the time of the year that it's great to arrive at this destination? And so built into that is this idea that you can create the strategy to get what you want, but it's really built on this idea that you can get it, regardless how hard it is. I mean, you want to be able to pursue this because you actually believe you're going to get it, and it's not going to be an accident. You know, it's a plan. What I put together for people are plans. These are really step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and we move through those, and that will take the amount of time it's going to take.
Okay, so I know people who are, you know, they created a plan and they might know exactly what they need to do, but it's not happening. They're, you know, they might procrastinate or get distracted or etc. So what do you think maybe are some things that are stopping people from actually, you know, actualizing their plan and you know, taking action?
Well, a large portion of that could easily be fear. Fear disables people. Fear has you clean your house instead of do the work that you need to do. Fear backs you up. And for most people, it stalls the dream or aborts the dream. And that's what's really sad. And that's, in part, that's why I'm a coach. Because I think if I can take the hand of my client and get them through these obstacles, just these little barriers that show up, they move to the other side. But at the same time, I have them in a heightened awareness of the fact that this is coming. You know, this will come. You will hear the voices that you're not good enough. You won't be able to do this. Others are better. People have more money. All of these things will show up. The idea is that you continue to stay persistent and show up, even if it's just a little thing to do that day. I ask of my clients and myself, actually, in the evening, I'll say this to myself: Ron, what is the evidence that was demonstrated today that will make a difference in the pursuit that you are looking to do? What did you actually do? Now, that could be an action, an external action, or that could be just simply a perspective of believing in myself and just even thinking about my plan. Long as I'm staying on track in some form, I will move forward.
Okay, so I think people are watching now that might be curious about a little bit about you, because you share with us, you know, some approaches to life and how we can overcome and go beyond our own fears and etc. So maybe if you could share with us a little bit about your approach to life.
Okay, Patrick. Well, I'm a big believer in self-care. I think that it all begins with taking care of myself. I have a regular yoga practice, and I go to class. I'd like to be around others, and I've seeked out, I think, some of the best teachers in this area of the world. That to enter that space is very valuable for me. I have the opportunity to meditate. I have exercise and live a lifestyle that is capable of not having that much stress in it. So the center begins with me, as I say to my clients. I mean, you are the person that needs to center yourself in order to actually move. The irony is the motion is really in the stillness. And so that's the first step. The extreme self-care really matters. And so that's very important. And then in my case, with my particular background, I look for an alignment with a particular type of client. I happen to be rather creative. And so I think when I get to play with others that will see things possibly a little differently, a path that could be a little skewed and a little funny to get to those goals, well then let's go for that. I think I have said that there's that expression, thinking outside of the box. The truth of it is I was probably an average to a below average student, and I couldn't even get in the box. I didn't know how to sort of function very well and excel very well in that form. So I had to figure out other ways to do what to do what I do. And I think it's that has made me the coach I am today, to help my clients work around the obvious and get in the door.
Okay, cool. And I found interesting what you said there as well with the motion is in the stillness. Could you maybe expand a bit on that for me and maybe other people who don't understand?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
To simplify, there's this outside universe, and then there's this inside universe, and the inside universe is equally as large, at least that's my point. And in there's unlimited capacity. There's unlimited capacity to think and to live and to be. And so in that stillness, in that quietness, is really where my power lives, where my dreams really live. And if I fill that vast universe, look at it as an infinite lake. If I fill that with good things, as I said, yoga, great food, in my case, a wonderful marriage, good family, beautiful environment, sun. If I fill that, then I'm now available to take that power, to take that strength, to take that being and move that forward. And I take that being into my coaching. I take that being into my clients so that they can actually use the extra that I have. I have some abundance. I feel good about that.
That sounds really wonderful. Okay, great. So what? First of all, I just want to say that I was really surprised because you shared the age, your age with me, and I'm blown away because you look so good. I would never have guessed it. Is it okay if I reveal it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. So Ron is 63. I mean, that's I never thought that. I mean, your skin looks really good. You have a really nice energy, and so is it the yoga and nice foods that make it that way, so I can prepare?
I'm laughing because I think I just got a sort of a recent hairstyle, and I think this hairstyle is a bit more relevant for today. And in part, it was a symbol to be able to continue to change and move forward. This is I think my hairdresser Ashley called this look dapper, which I think you might be able to relate to in the language, in the English language that you're from. Yeah, it's for all people. I think most human beings who are living a certain way in a certain world are attracted to people that are really alive. They want what you have, and that's a good thing. And I want to share what I have with that. As I said, I feel that it's very important to sort of take care of these foundational pieces. This is a process in which you are preparing for your trip. And that's what's really important. That's how you get to the other side. And sometimes, what's so interesting that I have observed is people have claimed they are at point A and they want to get to point B. And in the pursuit of going to point B, they discover something, and they discover that that's not actually where they want to go anymore. They're going to take a hard left turn, and they're going to now pursue something else because more had been really revealed around the dream. There was one instance where I was working with an attorney. His family was generations of attorneys. Really interesting man, very successful, wanted to pursue that, wanted to have a little bit more of a personal life, if I remember. And so he pursued the topic of balance, actually, how he could balance. He so did in the world. So in that pursuit, we discovered that the storyline that had been going on for generations was really not his. And that was profound not only for him, but of course for me, because we are only our stories. We are only our beliefs. And so this was an aha moment for this gentleman to pursue something that he really was passionate around, and that was building boats. He wanted to build sailboats. And so he had some money, and so he moved in that direction, and I believe now he lives in the Caribbean.
Wow.
And so I thought that was really wonderful.
Okay, so it's interesting there with the attorney that you just talked about, and how I can relate to that a little bit. Is we have this story of what we're expected to do in our lives, or what we think we should do according to environment, etc. So I recognize a bit in that story, but he took a left turn. And is that sort of what you do with your clients? Like, you look at, is what they're doing today, is that really aligned with who they are? Is that the approach you have, or what do you think?
Well, it is not for me to actually determine what their path is. A good coach listens for the right questions. It's really all in the questions. If you're listening deeply, and good coaches are trained to listen and to message, then the questions will reveal the truth for the client themselves. It is for them to make their decisions about what they hear that they are saying about their view of the world. And so that's what's kind of interesting. And in the initiation of the relationship, we do take the time to align and define what an individual's values are, what is truly important to them. If the pursuit is in alignment with those values, you have the highest rate of the ability to achieve the goals. If there's something that's off in that alignment, then still connected to their values and really what's important to them. And I might also add the overuse of two words, passion and dreams.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times people connect that with, let's say, a performing artist. They're so passionate when they sing, or they're so passionate when they write poetry and things like that. Well, you know, you can also just feel really great about what you're doing. It just makes you feel good. Those are good indicators. It doesn't have to sort of go into this language. You get up in the morning and you love what you're doing, and you take out the garbage, and you play with your kids, and you do what you do. And it doesn't have to have this caveat that you go into outer space over this dream. You know, it's really life on a daily basis. It's life one day at a time.
Great. Well, I think that's interesting, because I know that there might be, words like the passion and dreams, and people might feel like they have to live up to something or have a certain expectation that they might already be experiencing, but through that semantics and those languaging might, disregard that. So it's interesting.
Well, what happens, Patrick, is that people believe, like, if they're viewing a rock band, that has more value than someone knitting a sweater. What I subscribe is they both can be the same. One is not bigger or better than the other. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I'm curious, since we're talking about values and alignment, is there do you see when you've been working with clients and throughout your life in different endeavors, have you seen maybe what we can call it an X factor or Y factor, as we talked about earlier? Is there a difference that makes a difference? Is there an X factor or Y factor? Is there such a thing?
Well, I'm not. I can't speak to that. There's one thing I can speak to. define, but there's also a thing called luck, simply luck, where you are simply in the right place at the right time. You can have, and sometimes it's fractions of a second to be aligned with something magnificent or aligned with something totally disastrous. That's all it takes. And how to explain that, I can't. That's just a question much larger than myself. But I do know that if there is some, I used to work with a lot of models, and I asked them, well, how were you discovered? Well, they moved to Paris, they moved to New York, they moved to Los Angeles, because most likely in the middle of the bayou in Mississippi, behind the counter, there could be an amazingly superstar model that will never get discovered. So there is some sort of, let's put it this way. You have the ability to row the boat, but you can't necessarily control the current.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what do you think is, for someone who maybe is watching now and they might be in a place where, they don't want to be there. They know there's something more for them, or they might be feeling stuck in some way, shape, or form, or they might just be unhappy, or they might have an aspiration, but they procrastinate and get distracted every single day, or they're not following through. What would be maybe some advice that you would give someone who is here and they know they want to be somewhere else, but they don't know what to do?
A very good question, Patrick. I think one of the first things, this is going to sound a bit funny, but one of the first things I'd ask of that individual is, can you sit still, take a look at exactly what you have, and see it from a happy perspective? Can you be happy in exactly what you have? That would be the first step. Because if we're thinking that when we get there, we will be happy, we will be fulfilled, that's an illusion. I've coached too many people that have so much going on, so much going on. Their lives are so dramatic and fulfilling, and they are in what they love, and yet they're not happy. So the exercise, it's not about like when I have more money, when I have the boyfriend, when I have a better job or a better boss, things will be different. Yes, of course, there's a greater chance of success and happiness. But step one is, can you take exactly what you have? Can you take the bowl of porridge in front of you and make that taste good?
Okay.
If you can do that, then you're on to something.
Well, what if so I'm being here a little bit of the devil's advocate. So let's say, okay, some people might think, okay, well, sure. If I get myself into a happy space now, maybe I won't want to pursue anything anymore because I'm happy already. So why even achieve anything? Or I don't know if you understand that question, but.
Oh, I do. Well, you necessarily may not have to achieve anymore, because ultimately, in my point of view, whatever people are doing, if they're in the pursuit for money, they're in the pursuit for a greater career, ultimately the ultimate pursuit is still happiness. Yeah. So if you are already fulfilled and already happy, you may not need to move from where you sit. I don't think it's going to stop you from growing. If you want to grow, you will grow. If you want to all of a sudden learn to play the violin, most likely, I think they say roughly in 10 years you could be a master at anything. So if you're 30 years old and you want to play the violin, by the age of 40 you might be playing rather well. Why not? Yeah. So I don't think it's contingent on that, nor would it most likely stop an individual from wanting to move forward.
Cool. So the first step you would ask for someone then is to be happy in the situation or the event that you're in, or at least see if you could be happy with that situation and event, and that would be the starting point for the change. So that reminds me a little bit of when you talk about resisting something. If you resist it, it will sort of, if you resist it, it will persist.
What you resist persists. Yes, I like that. I've always liked that. Well, the real centerpiece for what we're talking about, this very topic, is gratitude. I didn't invent the word gratitude or the exercise of accounting for what you're grateful for. But if, as a daily reprieve, a daily exercise, if you want to find yourself centered and have a reason to be grateful, then look for those things that you're grateful for. Because we can take a quick snapshot of what's going on in the world, and most likely, if you're sitting here watching this interview, you're already in an amazing place in life. I think there's places in the world where 80% of the people don't even have a computer. There are people running for their lives. There's people that are fighting diseases. There's terror. There's immense poverty. There's water that's undrinkable. So we need to collect ourselves to have a much broader point of view and perspective and knowledge of the earth we live on, and take a look on how are we placed in that world. That's a really good place to start.
Great. I like that. So start in a place of finding what you can be grateful for now. It's great. So I thought maybe someone who's watching now and they feel inspired and they want to contact you, or they want to come in contact with you and maybe pursue a program or have some coaching with you. What can they do? What would be the next step for that person?
Well, if they're watching this, they do have a computer, Patrick, so that's always good. I have a website, ronhelman.com. It's simple, it's easy to navigate, and that's a way to contact me, find out about what I do. And I tend to, what I tend to do is I really customize my being in order to be the most successful with my client. I can sort of be a chameleon where I need to be. There's some people that need more direction. There's some people that need just to express themselves, where basically they're doing 80% of the talking and I'm doing 20% of the talking. I'm doing a lot of listening, because this is a very beautiful opportunity, if I may, to be able to express yourself to someone that actually really cares about you and wants you to succeed in the endeavors that you choose. But ronhelman.com will get you there.
Okay, great. So if you're watching right now and you feel inspired, you want to take that next step, then you have the details here below, and it's ronhelman.com. And when they contact you, will they have like I don't know how it works, but will they have a 10-minute conversation or something to get to know you, and you get to know them, see you're aligned, or?
That's correct. I have to see if I have to believe that I can help you. That's my job. That I believe how I'm hearing what your story is about is that I'm the right coach for you, because I know other coaches and I can align them to other coaches or therapists or wherever it needs to go. So we schedule a phone call. Coaching is primarily done on the phone, unless you live in my beautiful community here in New Mexico. But it's done on the telephone, and we have a conversation. I want to know about you. I want to know what you're interested in, and see if in fact this is a good match. The match is very important. And I will say to your viewers, really good track record, people that have good recommendation and good testimonials, because this is not a place you waste your time. You want to have this success with a really good coach, and you get what you pay for. I swear, it's still the same old adage.
Yeah, no, I believe you, and I know that you have done great work and transformed a lot of lives, and people can see that on your website. So if you're watching right now, all you have to do right now is just go to the website, have a look around, and when you feel inspired to do so, contact Ron and have a conversation and go to that next step. So Ron, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your wisdom. Appreciate that. And I think that's about it. So thanks, Ron.
Well, thank you, Patrick. You're so gracious, and I think you're really a very fine man and very good at what you do. So I appreciate this interview and the manner you did this. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.